real business owners.
What's up, real business owners? This is Kale Goodman today, coming at you with episode 8 of the Real Business Owners podcast. Today, I am not joined with Trevor, the co-host and my business partner, because he's out on family vacation with his family. Much deserved family vacation. I mean, he's been working his balls off all year long, and he hasn't even taken a vacation with his family yet. And here we are, knee deep in summer. So I'm glad he's out having some time and enjoying his family. And I'm excited to bring you guys this solo podcast today. Hopefully you get a lot of value out of the topic I'm about to speak on. But before I do, I want to remind you guys that the Real Business Owners podcast is for you guys that are, and you gals that are real business owners, that are on the come up. You guys, I don't care if it's a side hustle, it's your full-time gig, or you're just getting ready to start a business. We put this podcast together with a goal in mind that we want to help as many entrepreneurs that are like-minded individuals as us as possible. And that's really the goal. That's the mission. So I remind you this because we want you guys to like it. We want you to review it. We want you to rate us. We want you to share it with other people that you may know that are like-minded individuals like you and like us. Our goal is to help as many people as we possibly can. So that's the reminder. Please give us a rate, give us a review. That is our goal. So today, you guys, I want to talk to you about the word consistency. I feel like this is a topic that we don't get to speak on, or we don't hear about, or we don't focus on enough. We focus and we hear a lot of things like in the marketplace, especially when we're learning from a lot of these other success gurus out there, people that are doing great things, right? And we hear great things like the formula for success and what that is. Maybe we have our own formulas for success. I mean, I hear about visualizing and meditating and grinding, and, I hear about sacrificing and working hard and practicing and all these things. But all of that means nothing, whatever your formula is, unless you're willing to do it consistently. Same thing with the duties in your guys' business as well. Consistency is such an important word. It's either breeding a dependability in you as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, or it's breeding an unreliability, and that's really one of the biggest killers in business is when the owner of the business, the face, the person that's responsible for it all is unreliable. You're going to have a hard time keeping business if you're unreliable. And so that's the word I want to talk a little bit about. In fact, I went around the room recently in one of our sales meetings because sales guys are a lot like business owners, whether they're independent or they're not independent, like they're working for commission, and that's how they make their living. And it's up to them if they're going to level up or not. And so I ask every single one of them, I say, hey guys, what do you think the one word is when you're thinking about leveling up in your craft? What do you think the one word is that you've got to live by? Like, what is your word that's your main part of your formula in leveling up and succeeding in your craft? And we go around the room and we hear all the things I already just named off to you guys. You got to be willing to work hard and put in the late hours. And I'm like, absolutely, you do. Another guy says, well, I think you got to sacrifice. I mean, more than just late hours, you got to sacrifice time with your family. You got all these sacrifices to make. Sometimes you got to invest in yourself. And I'm like, absolutely, you got to sacrifice time and money and all that stuff. I agree with that 100%. I'm not going to argue any of those. Another guy says you got to practice. He's like, I feel like I sucked when I started and I had to practice so much and I had to role play and to really get to where I am now. And I asked him, okay, what do you do now? And his answer was, well, I haven't been role playing and I haven't been practicing, right? So that's just a few examples. The list goes on. We went around the room. We had a couple more great answers, but the whole point of that was I wanted to tell them, you guys, all these things are true. All these things you're doing to level up are so true, but are you willing to do it consistently? Because that's the killer, right? If you're not willing to do it consistently, how can you continually level up, right? And that's really the biggest problem we see in business is so many people reach a certain level. They worked hard. They do all these things. They sacrifice. And then they reach a certain point of comfort and then they stop doing the things that got them there. They stop becoming consistent in the things that got them there. I've done it. You guys have done it. I guarantee you've done it. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're doing it for your health, your mental, physical toughness, your business, your life, your family, your marriage, whatever it is, when you reach a certain level of comfort, you stop working so hard at it. You start going back the other way, or you get comfortable and you stop, and so that's kind of the whole point of me wanting to focus on the word consistency today, is because I feel like that is the biggest separator between you and the guy that's kicking ass way above you, right? The guy that's kicking ass way above me too, is the guy that's willing to work the hardest and sacrifice the most and all these things is great. But the guy that's willing to do it the most consistent, the longest, is the guy that's winning. And we all know that. So I feel like that needs to be focused on more. And that's what I want to talk about today in this podcast, because even in the duties of my business here with our company, like, I'm responsible for all the affiliates. I've built majority of those relationships. I've cultivated majority of those relationships. And how I've done that and where I've seen success with consistency is being consistent with these affiliates. It has not only brought business to me in multiple ways, but it's also brought business back to me of people that have wanted to leave and maybe try a competitor out. And just to give you an example, like I'm responsible for sending out all of our reports and all of our payments every single week to our affiliates. And affiliates is a huge part of our business. We get a ton of people that refer their clients to us, push traffic to us, and we're responsible to manage that data and show them, like, everybody that they sent over, who converted, and now I have to show them a payment and a reward for that in order for them to keep sending me business back my way, right? And so I've made a deal with them, like, hey, listen, you're going to always get a report from me on the following Monday from when you send traffic or clients or referrals over to us. And then that following Friday, I'm going to send you a payment for everybody that finalizes their agreements with us. They stick as a client and we are for sure doing business with them. You're going to get a payment on them. Obviously in a situation like that, like, you've got to be pretty dependable with these people and show them the reward in order for them to want to keep sending you business. And I realize that, and most people realize that when they're dealing with affiliates. And so I have sent a report out every Monday for the last 12 years, and I've sent a payment out every Friday for the last 12 years. Now, I can't lie. There are some times when that can't happen on a Monday, or there's some times where that can't happen on a Friday, but there is no excuse for being late. And what I mean by that is things come up, right? Like, maybe we have a long holiday weekend and actually it's like Labor Day that falls on a Monday or a Memorial Day or whatever, right? And I decided to take my family out camping or to the lake or whatever we end up doing. And maybe I'm in the mountains and I have no service, and it's a pretty valid excuse to say, hey, sorry, there's not going to be any reports today. Or maybe my affiliates are all expecting reports on Mondays, even though they're out doing something with their families. They don't see that report, right? Well, obviously that starts, if they were counting on that report to be there, now they're going to start looking at me like, is this guy undependable? They're going to start questioning me. Is this guy irresponsible? Is he unreliable, right? So there is no excuse for that to me. And so what I do is if I know I'm going to leave town, I know if I got a family trip coming up, I know if I'm going out of the country or up in the mountains. So I obviously get all my reports together at the very end of the week, and I make sure I have those all scheduled in my email box to go out Monday morning so that they still get it, even if it is on a holiday. Maybe there's a bank holiday on a Friday and I can't get payments out. I can't get wires out. I can't get ACHs out. I'd rather just pay them a day or two early than have it be late, because I want my reputation to be that I am consistent and I am dependable, so that they want to continue to send me business. I have had affiliates leave and go to competition and come back, and that was absolutely 100% the thing that they pointed out. Like, hey man, I'm going to be honest, I decided to send some clients over here to one of your competitors to see how that worked out. Maybe they offered them some more money, whatever. But at the end of the day, they came back and they literally told me, like, dude, that guy wasn't sending reports like you do, and that guy wasn't sending payments on time like you do. After working with that guy for 1-2 months, I could just see that this wasn't going to go in the right direction. So I came back to you. And you know what? Rather than me stewing on the fact that he even wanted to go try someone else out, I'm just like proud that I was dependable and I was consistent and reliable with that individual, so that they want to bring their business back to me. Because that's a common thing. I mean, people are going to try competition out. It just happens. And so I take that as a compliment. On the flip side, I mean, obviously, if you're not sending reports out, you're not being, getting payments out on time, obviously you're breeding that unreliability and they're not going to bring their business back to you. That's probably the reason that they left you, if you have that type of reputation with your business, so that's just one example of how important it is to be consistent in the duties of your business. But it's so important to be consistent with things that are really helping you level up, right? Like we all have like these formulas for success. I hope you guys do anyway. We all write our goals down at the beginning of the year. We have all these great visions of what we want to do to accomplish these goals and what it's going to be like to hit these goals, right? Like maybe you're leveling up on your income or your physical health or your mental health or whatever it is, or maybe you got a combination of all of it like I do. Well, first of all, if you don't have your goals written down, I don't believe that they're real goals. 100%. If your goals are not written down, that's the first thing you should do. We're already halfway through this year. You might have some goals in mind, but if you haven't written them down and put them somewhere where you can view them, then I don't think that those are real goals. So you should also, on top of having your goals written down, have your formula written down. Some people call it their power list. Like Andy Frisella has what he calls the power list, which is the 5 things you're going to do every single day to make sure that you hit these goals, right? And a lot of guys have their different formulas. It might be working harder. It might be X amount of hours that you're going to put in at the gym every single day. And, how many, cheat meals you get versus how many healthy meals you eat, whatever it is, right? Maybe you're one of those guys into visualizing or meditation and you're committed to doing that every day to help you get to the next level. Whatever it is, your formula, you should have that written down under your goals as well. But I feel like everybody should write the words "be consistent" underneath their goals and underneath their formula as well, because I feel like that is the most important part of the whole thing, because everybody hits that certain level of comfort and then they just stop doing their daily routines. They stop progressing forward. They stay right where they're at and then they start moving backwards again. Sometimes they end up worse off than where they started, because they weren't willing to be consistent. And it is one of the hardest things to do. I don't know why, but it is. But we all reach those levels of comfort. So that reminder underneath your goals and underneath your formula that says be consistent is what you should be living by. Because if you are willing to do it longer than you were before, if you are willing to do it longer than your competition, you are going to reach success. You are going to outlast the guy that you're competing against or the girl that you're competing against. I believe that 100%. I feel like that's why I wanted to talk about this topic today, because I noticed that. I noticed that in myself. The things that I've stopped being consistent on and I reached that level of comfort is where I've really screwed up, right? And the things that I've stayed consistent on is what's brought me the most value. And I noticed that in the people that are out there operating at much higher levels than I am. I'm like, man, what's the difference? I'm sitting here watching, analyzing these guys. Some of these guys I've literally just recently paid to mentor with these guys. And I've paid them a lot of money to mentor these guys and watch these guys work. And what I'm seeing that they are literally no different than you. They're no different than me. None of us really are incapable of doing it. They are just more disciplined in being consistent longer than you are, longer than I am. And so that's really the difference maker that I have figured out from watching these other guys work is I'm like, man, this guy, he doesn't do it for 3-4 months and then start wimping out. This guy stays to his routine, even when it gets hard. And so that's why I want you guys to make sure that you're writing down your goals, you're writing down your formula, but I want you guys to put that reminder underneath your goals. And I want you to put it somewhere where you're going to read it often. Some people mark it up on their bathroom mirror because they want to read it every morning when they brush their teeth. Some people put it on their computers at work for their screensaver. Some people write them up and put it on their wall. Mine's on my wall right next to my phone at work because I spend a lot of time at work. And I want to read my goals often. I want to read my formula often. But that reminder of be consistent is what's going to take you to the next level. That's what I believe is the difference maker. That's why I wanted to share that with you guys today. Obviously, it might sound simple, but if you really think about all the things that you've failed at in your business, it's probably because somewhere along the way you stopped. You stopped being consistent on whatever your formula was to level up. So that's why I wanted to share that reminder with you guys today. It's something I'm constantly working on. Hopefully it's something that you constantly work on. And hopefully it's something that you found value in today and you realize that, man, I needed that reminder. So write those words down underneath your formula, read them often, and make sure that you guys be consistent, not only in your duties at work and completing your power list every day of your duties, but make sure you're being consistent in the things that you've committed to yourself to level up. like going to the gym every day, like reading constantly and consuming content constantly, like practicing your visualizations, like practicing your meditations, whatever it is that works for you. Only you guys know your goals, and only you know how bad you want them. But the people that are obsessed with them, and they're obsessed enough to be consistent longer than the other guys, are the guys that are winning. So be consistent, you guys. That's the message I have for you today. I hope you found value in that. If you did, again, like it and share it. Send people over to our podcast. We want to help as many people as possible. But I love you guys. Thanks for listening again. And next week, we're going to have a guest on. It's going to be fire. So tune in for episode 9. All right, guys? Peace out. Have a great week.